In the summer of 1969, a crafty serial killer struck on the outskirts of Vallejo. For the next few years, he did his part to add to Northern California angst with wanton murder, baffling cryptograms, a killer logo, and a truly Californian taste for publicity. Zodiac by David Fincher dispenses with Fincher's slaughterhouse mise-en-scène. The film instead has a J.P. Melville-like termite focus on the hunters of the wily Zodiac. They are an editorial cartoonist turned amateur sleuth, a chronicle reporter seen submerged by booze and hubris, and the unruffled Mark Ruffalo as a homicide detective jealous of his privileges.
Dear editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper.
He wants his code in the afternoon edition.
Ray Smith, don't you have my cartoon to finish?
The Zodiac killer has come to San Francisco.
Another letter.
School children make nice targets.
He gave himself a name.
Greek, Morse code, astrological signs. This guy's used them all.
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
How does one do that?
I like puzzles. I do them a lot.
Why do you need to do this?
Because nobody else will.
Why'd you do it? You put your face out there for him to see.
Hello? Who is this?
There are some who will argue that this is like too much time to devote to a criminal like Zodiac. And I think there's some that will argue this movie is just too plain long. However, I thought it was Fincher's most mature film in a lot of ways, really just, zeroing in on the pursuers. And J.P. Melville, the French director I mentioned, is the name that came to mind when I was watching this, because it's really just on the unglamorous, hard, relentless and ultimately soul-wearying act of trying to catch somebody like this that the movie's focus is upon. What would you think, Mort?
Well, I focused on this length. I found that at first I was surprised at how violent it was at first, because I had heard that it wasn't that violent.
Well, by Fincher's standards, it's not. That's the thing. I guess that's what people should qualify.
But then I began to focus on length. And I found it very interesting the way he did it, because I think it was very successful.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You and I have been talking about films that are running over 2 hours and they really have to cut 45 minutes out. This film ran on rhythms. Very quick staccato scenes in the beginning, which then slow down in the middle and then pick up in speed and tension afterwards. It was a very difficult script. I mean, you're jumping almost 30 years, and in increments, and it worked. It really is a very absorbing police procedural.
And I think a great movie about the Bay Area too.
Oh yeah,
which I really liked. I think it really just, you saw a lot of the not just the little tricks like the computerized, recreation of the building of the Transamerica Pyramid.
Right, that was nice.
But just like the idea of the different highs and lows of the area, which I enjoyed very much. And I also like the idea of Zodiac, of his effect, not just as a killer, but just as a person that just destroys all the lives around him.
Yeah, and it's therefore interesting to see what happens to Jake Gyllenhaal. As the cartoonist who becomes obsessed with this, and of course we're going to talk about another obsessed person in a few in a few minutes.
But let's talk about how good Robert Downey Jr. was as like an alcoholic journalist who basically just loses all hope and faith because he can't seem to.
If there's anyone in the film who steals it, it certainly is him. That is a real tour de force performance by him, and I really regret more and more that he can't get his substance abuse under control, because he really has a lot to offer.
He seems to be clean and sober these days. I'll tell you, there's another great inside joke here that I loved, which is Bob Vaughn, the theater organist, beloved local theater organist, is considered one of the suspects for a while, and that was kind of amusing. So,
well, that was a humorous little part.
Yeah, and kind of a grand inside joke for locals too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that was the real Bob Vaughn. Was it?
No, I don't think it was.
I couldn't have been. No. But it was great that at the end of that scene, as he closes the door, he's smiling because he knows he's scared the hell out of Jake Gyllenhaal. There are nice touches throughout.
Yeah, very absorbing film.
A very absorbing film, well worth watching and contemplating, though in the end, its depth is not that great.